the Southern Inuit Education Skills Program with Nunatuavut. And that's been kind of re-incorporating the traditional skills teachings that have been, some of them last in handing down from one generation to the other. Now, the targeted audience is like high school, junior high, and high school, particularly the high school, but we've been doing some in junior high or incorporating it into both of the age groups just because it's low numbers and things. So whenever we've been able to do it, and the curriculum was designed, and then it was presented, like it was designed for none of its staff, and then it was presented to the schools, I guess the department, like the school board officials, and then the partnership developed from there. So all of the schools on the South Coast have been carrying out this program over them. This is actually the second year. So it's been kind of really focused on, initially, I guess, when the program first started in the schools last year, there was a kind of a community meeting held. And at that meeting that involved like the schools, the kids, and people from the community, it was a time to kind of discuss what the interests were from the youth participating. Then it was kind of like an assets of around who had those skills to teach. So that's what varied per community. Some youth were really interested in making comics, while others were interested in traditional food, preservation, or cooking, those kind of things. So it varied per school. So it went from sealskin slippers, sealskin mitts, to bottling, comic making, Cossacks, like a variety of things. Well, my role has just been kind of from Nunatuva as a staff person, has been supporting the work. I've been more involved in kind of getting it off the ground, helping them, kind of liaison between the office in Goose Bay and the schools on the coast, just because I'm here in Charlottetown. So it's like I can't really say to the enrollment piece. Yeah. But I know this year there seems to be, we've kind of worked out some of the kinks of last year of getting it off the ground. So this year, the schools are, some of them are really kind of going with it. But one of the challenges we've been finding is because it's not mandatory curriculum. Yeah. So we kind of got to find a course that the school is offering that it can fit into. So if they're doing like Newfoundland Studies, or if they're doing, so Newfoundland Studies, you can incorporate some of the crafts and the skills they would learn from that. Then the health, they incorporate some of the like traditional cooking. So it really is based on what's being offered in the schools that we can incorporate this teaching into. From my involvement with it, the feedback is, both from the teachers and from the students, like they're really enjoying it. It's a time of learning something that they've never had the opportunity to learn before. And it's also bringing some elders or who's teaching those skills, like having that interaction. Yeah. So networking between the two generations and bringing them together. So like I get a lot of positive feedback when I'm going in and talking to them about other things, just how you enjoy the traditional skills. Oh, we really love, and they take pride in the product. At the end of the day, they're walking away with a pair of slippers or a pair of sealskin mitts. So like they're really proud of their accomplishments. In my opinion, will be any method of teaching or learning traditional skills that are important to a person's culture. A way of connecting them to the past and then bringing that learning into the present and continued on into the future. So we're not losing those skill sets. And that's kind of how I would define it. And I think that this traditional skills, the Inuit Traditional Skills Program, is able to do that because it's bringing the generations and that skill set from the past to the present and into the future. I would really like to see a full course curriculum. Like right now, as I said, it's optional, as such it's not mandatory, and it's kind of where you can fit it in. I would really like to see it incorporated into the school system as a full course curriculum, so it would be mandatory that every child in, southeastern or southern Labrador know what southern Inuit is. They know who they are, they know their culture, they know the history, they know where they come from, and they're connected to that piece. And if that's done in consultation with Nunatuhavad and the communities and the people in the communities, that's where I really would like to see it in 10 years. That it wouldn't be that we're working with the schools to try and get the schools buy-in or try and get the teachers buy-in, that we wouldn't have to do that. It would be mandatory, and that it would be a full course that the kids can avail of, even before high school, kind of, right on up through. In my opinion, and in working in the communities for 15 plus years, it is engaging the communities. It takes a lot of ownership from the community themselves, from the from a community level of having the elders, the crafters, the peoples with the skills. Like, it takes a lot of buy-in to make it a success. So I think that all of those pieces would need to be come together to kind of make it a success. Engaging all people in the community, giving them a voice to have that opportunity to say how they would like to see things. So, and Nunatuhovat usually does that. So the elders, in my experiences in other involvements of traditional education, on the ground, doing things like out on the land, engaging the elders, and like I've done a lot of that even prior to this education skills program. And I just remember of just kind of touch on a couple of things where it was successful. Like, we did 2 times now, we did a elder and youth outing in Dead Islands, which is like a remote fishing community. We brought 13, I think on one time 15 youth to Dead Island. So they had 2 full days of actually no social media, no iPads, no laptops, no connection to internet. They were very much connected to the land, to the culture. They learned how to make nets. They conversed with elders, having conversations just about the way things used to be. They berry picked, they hunted and fished. We went out and had them how to catch salmon, how to clean salmon, cook it. Like, every experience, like, really off of the land. And initially trying to get youth there was an issue of recruiting. But once we got them there, they really seen the value of how important this was. And, it's the same thing we've done with Guy Pool, with elder and outings on the land, teaching some of the traditional skills, like during winter, shelters and things like that. So it's really important that role continue to be a part of the teachings, and I'd love to see it, like I said, in the school system, right from younger grades of incorporating on the land, the berry picking, the hunting, the skills, like everything as a whole. So I think that's where I'd like to see it.